Welcome back, everyone. Next, we have Knightscope Inc. It trades on the NASDAQ under the symbol KSCP and is an advanced public safety technology company that builds fully autonomous security robots and blue light emergency communication systems that help protect the people, places that we live, work, study, and visit. Happy to welcome Chairman and CEO William Santana Lee. Nice to see you again, Bill. How you doing?
Hey, good to see you. How are things?
Things are great. All right. So you had a big announcement recently. Let's roll this quick video of what happened in New York City. I think a lot of us, including myself, saw that press conference, Mayor Adams and the NYPD. So let's play that video and then we'll continue our conversation.
Let's do it.
Today, we're launching a pilot program to test the Knightscope K5 security robot. The NYPD must be on the forefront of technology and be 2 steps ahead of those utilizing technology to hurt New Yorkers. This is below minimum wage. No bathroom breaks, no meal breaks. This is a good investment in taxpayers' dollars.
Today, we take that notion of tried and true policing, of assigning a transit cop to their post, and we bring that to a different level. It's fitting that we are near the theater district because today, K5 is taking center stage. Welcome to New York City, K5.
This will very likely be the highest ridership week we've had since the pandemic over 3 years ago. Why? Because we've been focused on faster service, cleaner service, and safer service. And this device will keep you safe.
All right, there you have it. So tell us a little bit about this, Bill.
Dream come true. 10 years in the making. To have the largest city in the country with the largest law enforcement department do what they did. I mean, we could not be more grateful for Mayor Adams, the NYPD brass, the MTA, everyone. We've been working very hard. They've got dozens of people involved on their side as well to make this all a reality, and really excited. I think the city, this is public information. It's about 33,000 officers. They're losing 3,000 to 4,000 a year. Obviously, they need new tools and new capabilities. And City Hall and the NYPD understand that technology continues to evolve, and the officers need new tools and capabilities, especially under this kind of difficult circumstances. At one time, we didn't have 911. We didn't have fingerprinting. We didn't have tasers. We had a lot of stuff didn't occur until the last few decades, and this is just moving policing to the next level. And we couldn't be more excited to be back in my hometown. And one of the reasons we started the company was after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and to come full circle is a very emotional week for us.
I bet. It seems that Mayor Adams seems to like kind of this forward-thinking robot. He's like a techie, right? So he's really into this.
Well, he was a cop too, Anna. So so he is literally, he was a transit cop. So he literally knows what needs to be done, and it's been fascinating. Not only for us internally to work on this all new product. He's getting the first one, by the way. This is the 5th generation K5. So we're a little bit on pins and needles, but we're also extremely excited.
Well, break that down for me, the K5 autonomous. How many, you said there's one, how many do you think will deploy soon? And I personally want to know, how mobile is it? Does it move? Does it speak multiple languages? How does it work?
Yeah, so we've operated all across the country, probably now well north of 2.3 million hours. We've generated, we're in a probably $12 million run rate. So we've got a lot of experience in the field, both indoors and outdoors. And yeah, we patrol parking structures. This is the first, major train station that we're going to be patrolling. But yeah, it moves autonomously. It's a combination of autonomy, robotics, AI, and electric vehicle technology. It recharges itself. And it's intended to do basically 2 different things. One is to provide a physical presence to deter a lot of negative behavior in the first place. And then second, to give the officers eyes, ears, and their voice on the ground in multiple locations. And yes, it can be in multiple languages. depending on the use case of where the machine is deployed. So after this initial, we typically don't do pilots, but the mayor really wanted to do it, so we did it. Last time I think we did an actual pilot was like in 2015, but we'll patrol there for a couple months, and then we'll see where it goes. I think we have a ton of technology that can help the wider New York City arena, and we look forward to growing it.
Well, Tim Castillo has a question. First, he's congratulating you on the NYPD collaboration, but he asks, what's the cost to the city to run each robot? He's trying to understand, once it's deployed, who controls it, and what is Knightscope's revenue model?
So our business model is a machine as a service. So you really don't want to go to a law enforcement agency or a private enterprise and go, hey, here's a 6-figure robot. You need to buy it outright and then maintain it and service it and set up a robot maintenance division, right? So what we do is an all-inclusive service. It's hardware, it's software, maintenance, decals, monitoring, all that stuff. As the mayor said, for $9 an hour. And that makes it extremely cost efficient and a massive return on investment for the city, but it's also financially attractive for us, because over a 5-year period, it ends up looking like as I often say, luxury automotive per unit economics. You're spending tens of thousands of dollars a year, but over time that ends up starting to look more like a software as a service business with pretty lucrative margins. But you need to scale, right, in order for that to work. And we're sticking to getting to profitability for fourth quarter of next year as the company continues to grow in double digits.
And Tim asks, is this going to be the typical setup across various cities?
Typical setup. I think I spent too much time with lawyers. The word typical is problematic. Everywhere we go, we learn something new, but it's usually like a refinement or a message or a certain configuration or what have you. But yes, we're going to be transitioning everyone to the 5th generation machine that we're now starting to produce.
Well, Bill, you also had a big announcement with Penn Entertainment. That's on the NASDAQ, PENN. So tell us about that.
So Penn Entertainment, we've deployed at 3 of their 43 locations, and I think we just announced a couple more, so that should probably be 5 out of 43. We have a lot of investors always asking, when is this going to kind of scale up with an existing client? And we're hopeful that Penn Entertainment is that one. I think we started with the Las Vegas Raiders K5 at the M Hotel and Resort in Las Vegas, which got a lot of local media interest. We've done very well there, and they've continued to kind of build on the business. And so we're hopeful that we've got an opportunity with Penn Entertainment's properties all across the country to continue to scale up the entire business.
Congrats on that. Craig Dawson wants to know, did New York City reach out to you? So specifically, why Knightscope? And how are you targeting other municipalities? And can you supply additional units? If not, what's the time frame on that?
Other municipalities, let's see, the Huntington Park Police Department just renewed the contract for the 5th year. So we've already deployed in other locations, inclusive of law enforcement agencies. And yes, to a little bit to my shock and surprise, the NYPD and City Hall reached out to us directly. They had been following us for the longest of time. Actually, funny story. My head of sales calls me at 2:23 in the afternoon and says, "Hey, Bill, you need to get on a Zoom call in 7 minutes." And I'm like, "I'm busy, Jason. You need to kind of take care of that." And, lo and behold, go click on the Zoom link and you got all kinds of interesting people on that call. So it's very exciting. And they've been extremely gracious. For a large city to move that quickly and be that thoughtful. And I meant what I said. There's literally dozens of people involved. And they want this to be as successful as we do. So it's been a great partnership thus far.
Frank Stevenson wants to know, what do you have on the non-municipal side? What consumers pick up or use?
Well, actually, we started. So in my personal opinion, I don't think it's a good idea for newer technologies to go, kind of business to government sales first. Like you're going to run out of money and fail before you get the first contract. So we actually started business to business. It's probably 80-90% of our business. I think over time that's going to balance out now. But obviously I mentioned casinos, a lot of hospitals, commercial real estate, corporate campuses, logistics facilities, manufacturing plants. The easier way to think about it, instead of all the verticals, is wherever you might see an officer or a guard patrolling is an opportunity for Knightscope.
Wow. What about Amazon? How is their connection with Amazon Web Services?
Well, believe it or not, we've been an Amazon AWS customer for north of 10 years now. And we graduated from the startup bucket to the, hey, these guys are scaling with the government. How can we help? So they've been very kind and gracious to assign some resources to figure out how we can grow together, basically. So we announced that we're going to be doing a new smart parking enforcement feature that some of our larger parking structure and parking management clients have been asking for, and be able to leverage some technologies that AWS has to try to accelerate the deployment of that new feature next year.
Fabulous. We have a few questions about the actual robot. So Kelly wants to know, how does it recharge itself? Does it take a break? Does it plug in? Talk about the charging capabilities.
So think of it opposite of your electric vehicle. So you don't want to run around all day long and then charge all night long. Most of our clients want 24/7. So the easiest way to do that is kind of figure out on the battery curve, like where's the least amount of damage that you can create and the fastest way to charge. And then we basically patrol for 2.5-ish hours and then go charge for 20-30 minutes. So kind of topping up the tank every couple hours. And we ask our clients to put the docking station in an area where you normally would have like a guard standing there, because the machine can still be working and is working. It's just not moving at that time. So all the other sensing features and capabilities are all active while it's charging.
And Nora Jackson wants to know, what exactly is its role and what are its limitations?
So its role is we work for Big Brother and we try to gather all the information possible and then try to steal everyone's jobs. No, just kidding. Its role is two things. One is just to provide that physical deterrent. So think of, if I put a cop car in front of your home or your office, criminal behavior changes. Similarly with the robots, you see a 5-foot-tall, 400-pound machine roaming around. There's no one remote controlling it. It's literally moving around on its own. It might greet you or make an announcement or something. You don't know exactly what it does. You're probably going to steal that car or whatever you were going to do somewhere else. And that's one of the reasons why our clients have continued to renew for 4, 5, 6, or 7 years. Second is to give the officers situational awareness and understanding. So they can read, hundreds of license plates a minute. For the stationary ones, they do have facial recognition. We can treat your mobile device as if it's a license plate. You can detect a person and make an announcement, hey, it's 2:22 in the morning, you're trespassing. We're calling the authorities. There is a text-to-speech that the officer can type whatever they want and the machine can announce it. You can have a human-to-human call. Someone presses the distress button on the side of the machine, and that's just the beginning. And we've got a lot of new stuff coming.
Bernie wants to know about the onboarding of these robots, if you can explain what that process is and who on your staff is monitoring these robots.
So I'll answer the second one first. There are two different kinds of monitoring. So think of us in one way like AT&T. We need the network to stay up. So we have a staff that monitors all the machines across the country, making sure they're charging, get their maintenance and service and all that other stuff, kind of all the back end. And then there's the security or public safety monitoring. Most of our clients have a 911 dispatch or security operations center that's fully staffed 24/7. So they just use our tools, including the KSOC user interface, the software package that comes with the robots. A minority of our clients, let's say an apartment complex, probably the community manager doesn't have a SOC or 911, so we may monitor that on their behalf for an additional fee. And what was the other question? I'm sorry, Anna.
The onboarding of these.
The onboarding. So the biggest lesson learned, and I'm so grateful that the mayor took me up on this. One of the worst things you can do is not properly introduce yourself to the tenants, the employees, the staff, whoever, the students, whoever, wherever you're deploying, and just throw a robot there and everyone's going to go freak out. And this has literally happened. So, we've done this for years now, and we know the simplest way to cure this is a bit of etiquette. So we had the Robot Roadshow. If you haven't seen the crazy robot aquarium that we've got running around the country, we just did our 100th stop, by the way. If you can go to knightscope.com/roadshow, I encourage the city, the NYPD and the mayor to please, let's bring the pod, put it in Times Square for 3 days and let people come, touch, see, feel, let the media have at it, let the officers, get a chance. And that way, when they did this press conference, it was, remember, we introduced this a few months ago, the concept of doing this, now it is here. And you don't get this crazy public outcry of issues because people understand why it's there, what it does, and that works a lot, very well. All in terms of the deployments, we personally handle all that stuff. So we design all the machines, we engineer them, we build them, and we deploy them, and then we support them across the country.
Well, I see you're a Star Wars fan, and I just have to ask, it's probably an offline question, but what are the chances of these robots going rogue?
Going rogue. I think for a lot of reasons, how do I say this? I think Hollywood, as I often say, has over 30 years done us a service and disservice. If you ever want to really find out what happens in the real world, is just follow the money. $100 to $200 billion goes into startups every year, almost all of it into software, a tiny fraction into biotech, and then the rest is in other. And now it's increased over the last 10 years, but it's not like 40 or $50 billion are going into the space every year, and you'd have possibly that risk. So I don't see that happening, the risk of that happening for, 10, 20 plus years. And obviously, one of the other reasons to have that machine as a service business model is we control all the machines as opposed to, putting them out there in the wild and having others start messing with them.
Well, thank you for that indulgent. Bill, tell us a little bit about this upcoming milestone, this bond that you're offering. What are the details? So we took a unique path to raise all the capital before the public listing on NASDAQ. So we had raised, over $120 million from 35,000 investors because our long-term mission is to see if we can make the U.S. the safest country in the world. And, a lot of the institutional investors, VCs and stuff basically kept telling us no. And just because someone's, entire portfolio is around software and they don't understand public safety and law enforcement doesn't mean your company shouldn't get funded and you shouldn't go build it, especially if you're doing something in the national security interests of the United States of America. So we disregarded everyone's no and kind of forced the transaction to happen. So we used Regulation A+ to get all the financings in place so we can build all this stuff from scratch. But now we listed the company in January of 22. Jesus, it's going to be almost 2 years now. And now we're starting to find the underbelly of Wall Street. And there's a lot of toxic capital that preys on micro cap and small cap companies with toxic debt financings and what have you. And I'm not interested in that. I hold 7 million shares in Knightscope. I'm very prickly about dilution.
and I'm literally on the side of our shareholders. My entire net worth is in Knightscope. I haven't sold a single share, including in the public listing. And hopefully our track record shows that we're serious about what we're doing. So we're going to take a playbook out of what we did in the as we were private, and do a debt offering, a high yield debt offering that mimics some of the things that we did. And a lot of retail investors don't get a chance to participate in high yield debt offerings from publicly traded companies, right? That's only for the elite Wall Street 300, 400 lenders. Well, guess what? The bond, the public safety infrastructure bond, just got the okay through all the regulatory approval process and is now live. If you want to learn more, just go to bond.knightscope.com. And we're raising $10 million with a 10% interest and paid annually in cash. And it's a 5-year bond. After the 5 years are up, we'll give you your principal back. And that gives a lucrative, potentially lucrative return for the retail investor, and gives Knightscope the capital to, improve public safety, improve our technology, keep growing, and is non-dilutive to our existing investors. So we're determined to make Knightscope successful, and no matter what it takes. And I think at some point, all these naysayers and people throwing rocks and putting banana peels in front of us would, one day get tired of being wrong all the time. So we're just going to keep at it.
Well, with that, Nicole Barrett says sales are up about 50% for the 3 and 6 month periods, respectively. So can this growth continue? And what's a realistic timeline to be cash flow positive?
So let's see, 21, we did about 3.4 million in sales. 22, we did about 5.6 million. This year, we're on track to about a $12 million run rate. So the double digit growth, I think we're reasonably optimistic about continuing the growth. And as I said earlier, we're targeting for fourth quarter of next year to be profitable. And as I mentioned, a lot of stuff, especially if you've got a subscription type of setup, you need some scale in order for it to start generating some profits, because you have some basic fixed costs that you need to cover. But we're pretty excited, to be at the intersection of 4 really important technologies, working on the nation's most important problem, growing in double digits, landing, awesome clients. Having the mayor of the largest city in the country stand up beside us, things are looking up.
Thomas Friedner asks, how many robots do you currently have operating in the field for clients? And can you give us a percentage of clients that renew their contracts for more than the first year?
So our long-term plan is to put 1 million machines in network, stationary, mobile, possibly aerial, and the like, right? We're not a robotics company. What we're trying to do is fix the nation's problem, and you're going to need a huge portfolio of different technologies to do that. I think through the acquisition of Case Emergency Systems last year, which obviously we said was going to be accretive, and we've proven thus far it is. We've got well over 7,000 machines in network. The other thing on the question on churn, one of the important things to note is once you build a machine and let's say the client goes bankrupt, like during COVID, or facilities disappear or what have you, that robot's now paid for, and we just literally go redeploy it somewhere else. So that churn thing is not something that we necessarily are focused on reporting. It's important for us to just continue to grow the footprint, and with over 7,000 out in the field, we're getting there.
Well, a topic that's probably near and dear to many people is the school safety. So how is Knightscope getting involved with that? I see you have a grant program.
Oh, this is a hot button, Anna. So this ticks me off to the nth degree. After Sandy Hook, we decided to, start the company. And 10 years plus later, our local, state, and federal officials have failed the country. Like, we have a violent crime occur every 26 seconds, a property crime every 4 seconds, like there's literally a mass shooting on a daily basis. And somehow we as a society should accept this. And we get a lot of investors like, hey, you should put these at schools. You should put these at schools. Well, I hadn't thought of that. So, we do have some clients that are schools, but you need to follow the money. We as a nation do not pay our teachers appropriately, nor do they have the appropriate staff, nor do they have the appropriate supplies. Like, how often do you see, a school doing a fundraiser for school uniforms or for books or for supplies? You can't pay your teachers properly, but somehow you're going to spend hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to better harden and secure this educational institution. Exactly where is the money coming from? So we're going to try something experimental and see if we can kind of fix the gap, which is do a nationwide fundraiser on behalf of the schools. So some schools show up and say, hey, I only have X dollars. There's no way, we need all the stuff that you have, but there's literally a gap. And so what we're doing is, if folks are interested in supporting that effort, they can go to knightscope.com/fightback. And you can basically be part of that fundraiser, and we'll then allocate the monies to wherever a school may have a shortfall. We don't get any, commission or fees or anything. 100% of whatever you participate with goes straight to supporting that school for that contract. We'll see if it works. I'm just frustrated that we haven't fixed this problem, and part of the problem is literally cash. And I think a lot of parents and frankly a lot of students, are fed up. And if we can be that mechanism to help, then so be it.
Well, thank you for that. Tony Willis wants to know, do you have any ETFs currently? Are you on the path for that?
Exchange traded, electronic traded funds?
Well, iShares has a robotic ETF, and I'm sure there are many more. So the question is, what does it take to attract that sort of investment? Are you in any ETFs currently?
We're getting us into, so I think it's share price appreciation and market cap and top line revenue. So I think that'll happen naturally over time as the company continues to grow. I think one thing folks fail to understand is no one in the history of mankind has ever done this before. And so it's technologically rather difficult. Execution wise, it's also extremely difficult. But we are making progress. But we're not the hockey stick people like, oh, we'll just put something up in the cloud, you download it, and all of a sudden it's just going to grow like weeds. It'll get to that point, and we're starting to obviously see that growth. But you're not going to innovate like overnight, and just things are just going to magically happen.
Well, speaking of growth, is there an opportunity for you to work federally with the government?
We're getting close. I don't want to jinx it. It's almost 3 years now working through this cybersecurity review process with the federal government. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs continues to be our sponsor. We're actively, and that's another one, similar to the NYPD and NYC, dozens and dozens of people on the federal side working with us in concert to get that ATO or authority to operate. And that would open up a huge opportunity with the federal government. Not only you think about Veterans Affairs, but just think about how many warehouses do you think the federal government has? Think about FEMA, Customs Border Protection, the Department of Interior, Social Security Administration, the U.S. Postal Service. It's a very, very large opportunity for us. But we need to always remember the federal government is extremely conservative and not the most technologically progressive in the world. So we need to get one foot in the door with the VA, with the Veterans Affairs, which is really nice because the chief security officer there, he has to manage about 143 police departments across all these healthcare locations. And remember what I said earlier, Knightscope is in a number of hospitals and healthcare facilities. So it's a really good segue. And I think after we scale with the VA, hopefully that goes well, then there's a ton of federal opportunities. But I'm crossing fingers here during this quarter. We'll finally get some good news. But frankly, after we've been through so much, until it's done, it's not done. I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, I want to combine a few questions. They're all around the growth. So talk about how growth is going this year versus last year, and also talk about demand. Can you meet demand as it grows?
Yes. So we doubling the size of the top line revenue likely this year versus last year. And that continues. I think probably one easy way to say, is there demand? We're still sitting on a $4 to $5 million backlog of new orders. So, what I'm spending my time on with the team is, okay, how do we get these out faster? How do we build faster? How do we think about our supply chain more carefully? How do we QA things faster? How do we ship faster? How do we deploy faster? So we're in growth mode, and you can see pretty much every week we announce a new contract once or twice a week, like clockwork. And people still ask, "Are you growing?" And it's like, well, we'll just keep looking at the numbers.
Right. Bill, this has been fascinating every time you're on. So I look forward to hearing your next round of updates when we have you on again. Thank you so much for your time, and congratulations with all of this.
Thank you, and I appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you again soon.
Cheers.
Okay. Everyone stay with us. We'll be right back.